So, welcome everyone. It's so wonderful to see you once again on this full moon of the 9th of July, 2025. Very powerful time if you follow the astrology that we're in. I want to first start by letting you know, if you don't already know me, my name is Cynthia Jurs. I've been holding this practice for about 35 years now, amazingly. And we have been dedicating our prayers and our intentions and our wishes and our practice to the global healing and collective awakening that is called for in the times that we are alive. And right now, today, because of what's happening with the flooding in the United States, in Texas, and now in New Mexico, although not in my part of New Mexico, I just thought maybe it would be nice to include an intention that the practice that we do today bring healing in those places where it's called for, and of course, anywhere else around the world that healing is called for. And we will invoke all the locations that the Earth Treasure Vases have gone to around the planet as we go into the guided meditation in a little while. So the practice came to me through an old Lama living in a cave in Nepal when I met him in 1990 and asked him, what can we do to bring healing and protection to the earth? And he gave me the practice of the Earth Treasure Vases, which is what we have been carrying out now all around the world in so many ways. And yeah, there's a whole story there. And if you haven't got my book, you can read about it there, because today we have we have a lot to share. Gosh, I guess I'll just start by saying that if you saw the newsletter that also goes out to our community before the full moon, you will have seen that I'm just back from an incredible trip to Europe that included working with my dear sister, colleague, friend, Earth Treasure Vase steward, amazing organizer, Charlotte Dufour, who's co-hosting the call with me today. And we did some amazing events starting in Geneva, and then at her retreat center. Charlotte and her partner Reiner have built a beautiful retreat center in France, where we did 2 retreats and some talks and pilgrimages, and then drove across France to Plum Village, where I had some more incredible experiences and ended up burying a treasure vase there. So I want to invite Charlotte to bring us into our time together at in Geneva and in France, the first part of the trip, and then I'll speak to the second part of the trip and the burial at Plum Village, which was so special. And then we'll go into, just to let you know, kind of the lay of the land of these next 2 hours. We'll go into the guided meditation that we do every month. And following that, we'd like very much to call on some of the Earth Treasure Vase stewards who were with us at the retreat in France, where we had so many vases in the circle, and just to take a couple minutes each to presence their treasure vases before we open the circle for sharing from all of you. So that's the plan. And so right now, let me joyfully welcome you, Charlotte, to another full moon meditation. We were together, I think it was last month, with Rick Jansen, who shared his incredible story about Tibet. And now we're here with you again to talk about what happened over this last month. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Cynthia. It's always a joy. And I would say it's a doubly a joy being with all of you and recalling the wonderful moments we spent together because as Cynthia and I were preparing, it just brought back all the magic of the journey we had together. And I thought we would try to share some of the energy of that magic by sharing some photos that give you a sense of what we were up to here in Europe. And so you'll have an illustrated view. We'll take you together. Uh, I think, do you see my screen properly? Yeah, so here we are on a rooftop in Geneva, which is where Cynthia's journey started. And that was quite symbolic because Geneva, as some of you might know, has always been a place of holding peace. It's a country that stays neutral in times of war. It was a place of refuge during World War II. It's the home of the International Committee of the Red Cross, of many United Nations institutions. It's the second biggest United Nations center after New York. There are a lot of NGOs working for the environment in that place. And so it was very special that Cynthia got to introduce her book and the practice to the people here, smiling faces that are all involved in humanitarian and environmental activism. And it was beautiful to see how moved they were and touched. And Geneva is an area which is being very much shaken by the current collapse of multilateral aid. You know, USAID funding's crashing, a lot of other governments are also reducing. So these NGOs are often having to close projects and offices. And they all felt that, wow, this kind of sacred activism can be such a special, complement or alternative or other way of working at a time of collapse. So it was deeply inspiring, and we felt we sowed a very important seed there. And from there, we made our way to Les Marions, which is the home I have the joy of living in. I'm sitting in that office right there behind that big bay window as I speak. And Les Marions is in Cluny-Zois. It's a place very close to Cluny, which was the center of medieval Europe. It was the center of Christendom and medieval Europe, a place of pilgrimage. It's also the place where the Taizé community, an ecumenical community that is all about reconciliation and peace, which was founded by a Protestant brother from Geneva after World War II. And it's famous for its singing. And we went there several times. And it was a very special encounter. This is the land where we're trying to do some regeneration, sense of the view. And here we were, this amazing group of people, around 7 Earth treasure vases that were destined for Palestine, Afghanistan, Hungary, Peru, um, Ukraine, which we'll maybe say a few more words about, and Spain. I think I said all of them. And then we had this magical vase also show up in our circle, and Cynthia can speak more to that. But you get here a sense of, the kind of gathering with this huge wall of windows that are actually overlooking towards where Taizé is. And so we really had a sense of the connection to the land as we were in prayers and ceremony around these vases. It was a very special time. We got to also connect to the land. And that was one first retreat we had together. But Cynthia's time here was also an opportunity for a book launch with some of my neighbors, where we also got to introduce them to, the teachings, the Gaia Mandala. And I had so many words of gratitude after that. And what was special, I think, in our time together, we had a second retreat. Oh, actually, no, throughout our time, we went a few times to Taizé. This is Taizé, this community of brothers, which is known for its singing, and you'll get a taste of it later. And we were there with all the vases. And Taizé is a place where also there are refugees from Afghanistan that have found refuge, Ukraine. They have very strong ties to Ukraine. And here in this picture, you see a brother who's from South Korea, who actually often works in the place where the Earth Treasure Vase is between in the demilitarized zone. And he knows very well the pastor that helped to bury that vase. So we met around the Ukraine vase, and we feel some ties are being knotted between Taizé and the Gaia Mandala. Cynthia also got to meet the prior, the abbot, the head of the community. Beautiful encounter there. This is also a place, as I mentioned, where in a way, the sacred feminine is very present. So we had a second moment with Judith, who's here on the call, and other members of the Gaia Mandala, really connecting to the land in different ways, connecting to the Christian tradition that's present in Cluny. This is the site of the Cluny Abbey, which was the biggest church in Christendom until St. Peter's of Rome was built. But connecting also to the Celtic traditions of the land. Here we are on a stone circle after a ceremony which Judith guided us into, connecting to the sacred feminine. And I think I'll stop there around that was the French really big overview, rapid overview of the initial time together. And I'll maybe let you, Cynthia, come in and say a few words about how it was this experience for you here in Burgundy, and then we can continue the journey onwards to Plum Village.
That was great, Charlotte. It's wonderful to see all those images again. And really, thank you for bringing us and the treasure vases into that land, which carries such a deep spirit and history. And yeah, I would say going first to Geneva, it was so potent for me to have the opportunity to speak to people who are really doing the work that our practice is dedicated to, the work of healing the earth, the work of regeneration and peace, who are based in Geneva, this hub of all these NGOs. And as you said, Charlotte, so many of them are now struggling with how to continue with the lack of funding and things like that that are occurring, and the lack of support. And so I felt like there was a little opening that whatever I have to say, which I hope might have served about forming a connection to Gaia and to kind of opening up to something larger than ourselves, might create, might be pieces in creating a new operating system that we all need to arrive at for the sake of all life. So that was very powerful. And then the retreat at Charlotte's Center, the first retreat, brought together, as she said, 7 Earth Treasure Vases to all of these locations, that many of which are so powerful. And, Palestine, Ukraine, Hungary, to name 3 of all of them. And then we had the Andes in Spain, and we had Afghanistan. And, these are all such power places. And what happened for me personally was that as I was getting ready to go on this trip, 2, actually 3 of the last 3 Earth Treasure Vases on my altar that have been there for 35 years in some cases. We have worked with 93 Earth Treasure Vases since this all began. And these were the last 3, apart from what I call the mama vessel, which is right here, that I was holding that we had not dedicated. And in the last few weeks before I departed, they got dedicated, and I brought them on this trip. So those last 3, one was dedicated to going to Ukraine, which had been a prayer of so many of ours for such a long time, and the way finally started to open, and I took it. And then another vase was dedicated through a woman named Melinda, who has just joined the call today from Hungary, who had requested the vase, and we finally figured out how to do it, and that it should happen. And of course, Hungary is a very important location in the world. And then I knew I was going to Plum Village, which is in many ways my spiritual home, and suddenly I realized that the little treasure vase that I made at Ghost Ranch with many of you who also made treasure vases at Ghost Ranch, which are now part of what we call the third generation, that vase wanted to be buried at Plum Village. And I just realized how deeply that moved me to think about having that vase go there, but also in the sense that it would be bringing such a beautiful energy to the whole global mandala by being planted there. So I took those three, and they were part of that circle that Charlotte showed you some pictures of. And it was, this moment of almost like the empty nest. The mama is still here, but the babies have all gone off, and they're all on their way now. And surely there's another, family of vases or generation of vases that may want to be worked with over time going forward. But I don't know how that's going to happen. And then we got to this retreat, and there was a woman by the name of Ann Thomas who has just arrived in our circle, who's very much in the dark right now, but I know she's there because I can see her on the screen. Ann showed up. I had not met Ann, and she had this. She's an artist and a ceremonialist. She had this, like really spiritual guidance to make and craft a clay pot to fill with prayers and offerings dedicated to bringing healing to the earth. But Anne didn't know anything about the practice of the Earth Treasure Vases until she read my book, and we were introduced through a mutual friend, and she brought her beautiful vase to the circle, and we blessed it and included it. And so that was this eighth wonder rising up out of our midst after I had, there you are, Anne, with the vase that you brought, which is so beautiful. And after the meditation today, I'd love to invite you and several others in the circle who were present at the retreat to, as I said earlier, just share a few words and bring your vases forward so that we can put our own prayers and intentions and offerings into them today. So that was really such a beautiful moment and time to work together, really activating these vases for their journeys ahead, and the whole mandala of treasure vases receiving yet more, and then this new vase rising up out of the midst. And so that was kind of in a nutshell what happened in the first part of the trip. My goodness, makes me all excited thinking about it all over again. Charlotte, is there anything else I left out, or should we move to Plum Village?
No, I think we can move to Plum Village. But yeah, it wasn't just the vases that were coming from different parts of the world. It was also the participants, and there was this beautiful sense of community. There was singing, there was laughing, there was quiet moments of nature, and a real communion. Yes, so very special.
And we took the vases to this place, Taizé, that Charlotte mentioned, that's near her center, where they have an evening program every day of Vespers and singing. And it's very beautiful and moving. And we brought the vases and pulled them out, and everyone in our group had the chance to hold the vases. And we all, of course, put our offerings and prayers into them quite a few times, and shed a lot of tears for the world as well. And it was such a blessing to bring them to Taizé. And we will be sharing some of the music from there during the end of the meditation, along with some music from Plum Village.
Yeah.
So,
And maybe if I can elaborate a little bit on the meaningfulness of that encounter, because Taizé has every there are thousands of youth from all over the world that come to this place. And also the Tse brothers, there are many communities around the world, and they make a choice to live with the poorest. They're in Haiti, they're in, really different parts of the world, and they go regularly to Ukraine, and they're there to listen and pray and sing, and they are holy vessels, very much so. And Tse itself is a holy vessel. And there was this beautiful coincidence where after the evening prayer, the first time we went, I saw the abbot, the head of the community, there standing by the door as they do, welcome to listen to any young person who feels the need to speak. And I said, "Oh, Cynthia, let's go meet Brother Matthew." And so they met, we introduced the Gaia Mandala, and one of our participants, Martin, was going to stay in Tizi between our two retreats because we had one on each weekend. And when I brought him over, we brought a book for Brother Matthew, and I had already given Cynthia's book to another brother, and they were so touched by the movement. And also they enabled us to meet this brother from South Korea who was going to Ukraine. Beautiful moment again, where we were listening to this brother's emotions from his trips to Ukraine, and actually also the emotions of his memories of childhood in South Korea. So very, very deep. And when we saw Brother Matthew wanted to thank Cynthia for her book, and when we met again after another evening prayer, there was this beautiful encounter of like two mandalas of light meeting.
I was crying. I was crying, and in case you didn't say it, I wasn't sure if you did, Charlotte. This is a ecumenical Christian um,
Mhm.
monastery that is very, very open to all traditions and um,
Yeah.
practices. So we have made this connection, and the vase for Ukraine is going to go into the hands of another one of the brothers there sometime this month, we hope, to begin the process of discernment about how it will travel into that land. So
Yeah.
more to come on that soon. But
And we went to the Tizzy shop where the brothers do pottery and bought a little pot
can you
where
show the picture of the pot for Plum Village inside the
I
temple?
have one on there. Just a second, I think.
So yeah, the connection to
Okay, I need a
between
second for that one.
that's fine. No, no, no stress. The
I'll add
connection
it.
between Taizé and Plum Village is also very beautiful. And these two spiritual communities where, very different traditions, but very similar in their commitment to peace in every step. And for me, going back to Plum Village, it was such a homecoming. I had not been back for a decade, which kind of surprised me. I didn't realize it had been quite so long. Um, yeah, here's the beginning of the time at Plum Village with the beautiful members of this Gaia Mandala, Rasul, Rick, and Elizabeth, who all made it there. Rick lives there, and it was so fun. Um, but anyway, let's just pause here for a second. This is the vase that I made for that now is buried at Plum Village. And the pot, as Charlotte mentioned, was made by the Brothers of Taizé, who do pottery and sell it in their shop to support themselves. But I found this one that was just the perfect size. And one of our dear friends made prayer ties in the Lakota tradition that he is so deeply part of for all the treasure vases that we worked with and for the whole global mandala. This is one of the icons from Taizé, and the little cross that is the dove of peace, that is their symbol that also went into that little treasure vase. So the little treasure vase was just so happy. And finally knowing where to be, to come to rest. And it was blessed. There's Brother Phap Hu, who is was the attendant for Thich Nhat Hanh for many years. This place, of course, is Thich Nhat Hanh's community in France. And Brother Phap Hu has become now the abbot of the Upper Hamlet, which is one of the 3 hamlets at Plum Village in that region. And he blessed the vase and gave permission for us to bury it there. And the whole community really kind of gathered around, and it turned out to be a literal thing, actually. But I had some time with members of the community, both the monastics and the lay people around Plum Village, to share about the treasure vase and invite them into the practice. This is sitting on the deck outside of Thich Nhat Hanh's hut, which overlooks the whole landscape at the Upper Hamlet, where he lived many, 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 many years. And that's where we gathered for a couple of ceremonies with the treasure vase. And everyone was so interested to hear the stories of the early days with Thai, because, of course, I met Thai in 1985, and I joined the order in 1986, or something like that. It was like, I can never remember the exact years, but it was way early on, and we used to just, hang out with him and drink tea on his porch. And he married me and my husband, and I was able to share a lot of stories because people were so curious. There's a lot of young people who live at Plum Village now, and some of them haven't even met Thich Nhat Hanh. So in the center of that picture, standing next to me, is Brother Phap Lai, who is from Britain. He's my dear, dear Dharma brother, who I was hoping would make it to this call today, but doesn't seem to have come on to the call. So hopefully maybe in the future we can invite him back. He is the one who helped with the Liberian peace builders that I brought to Plum Village about a decade ago. And that was a very powerful part of my life, as some of you know that story. And he was the one at Plum Village who really helped with them, and then helped with this. And we then, after receiving the permission, he and I and Rick actually scouted for the location to bury the vase. There's a place that's called Buddha Hill, that is where there's a whole series of about 20 beautiful carved Buddha statues from Cambodia that are just looking out over the vista. And it was not too far from there. It's that being a place where Thai's ashes were scattered. Not too far from there was a grove of oak trees making a circle, and I spotted it and I went, oh my gosh, that would be such a beautiful place. And indeed it was. And gosh, I just feel the emotion of the moment coming to me again. We dug the hole with the help of some of the members of the Happy Farm and a new friend from Moeen from Palestine, who the Plum Village community is very much supporting the peace efforts in Palestine. He helped to dig the hole, and of course we have a treasure vase going to Palestine. There was just so much cross-fertilization. And yeah, the vase was buried, and when we finished the chanting and the singing and the digging and the casting of rose petals that I had gathered all over France, and setting the little holy vessel into that ground, Brother Phap Lai rang the bell for us to conclude the ceremony, and we looked up, and coming around us was the entire rest of the community doing their walking meditation in this large group. And they came around the trees outside. So there was the vase in the center, us around the vase, the trees around us, and then the whole community gathering around in a circle around the whole of us. And it's, the walking meditation is done in silence, and they gathered around. and just held us. This was not planned. And just as they gathered around the church bells in the nearby church, which is right across the way, right near where Rick has been living, started to ring. And it was noon. And so they rang and rang and rang. You can just imagine the sound of those church bells. And we were all just stunned by the timing. And, we turned around and bowed to the wider community who bowed back to us. And we just then held the moment for as long as we could and listened to the sound of the bell, which is the heart of the practice in Thich Nhat Hanh's tradition, the bell, bringing us back to our true self. So that was amazing. And Elizabeth Christine was on the call, was there, and she's on the call now. I wonder if you'd like to come forward just for a few minutes, Elizabeth, because it was so wonderful to share this time with you and have you be able to experience this place and this practice in person directly. The Liberians that some of us know that I worked with, called Plum Village heaven on earth. And truly it is. And I know you had a beautiful experience there, and I just wondered if maybe you'd like to add a few words.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, and just such gratitude for bringing me there. And I'll just say that I was really happy to see in the newsletter the quote by Arundhati Roy that another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. And while I was in retreat at Plum Village, I entered this other world. It's here. It's a vast reality. And at Plum Village, it's been generated through years of consistent mindfulness practice by the residents. And this other world is in place. And I'm just hearing the reflection too with Taizé and their practice and this beautiful building of the other world. And once I was taken into this reality, I functioned in the field of interbeing, where communication happens through the subtle realms, and we are available to one another without disconnection. And experiencing this other world, it was such an awesome testimonial to me as to how our mindfulness practice is actually building the world that we want to live in. And throughout the 2 weeks I was at Plum Village, I was just in continual amazement by the number of visitors from all around the world that this field is able to receive and actively transform suffering into the peace we want to be in the world. And of course, I was really honored to be there with you, Cynthia, and dedicate and bury this vase, which now ties the Gaia Mandala field that we've brought into manifestation through this practice with that other world that's been generated by Plum Village. So
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for being there and witnessing and joining and carrying the practice now yourself into our mindfulness practice group with Rasul. And of course, Rick, having lived there for 3 years now, first at Plum Village and then near Plum Village. And I just feel so incredibly happy that we have now been able to seed one of our treasure vases at that place, and knowing that it will contribute so much, as you just described, into the whole mandala for the realization of our prayers and intentions around building this new world, this new operating system for Mother Gaia that is based on peace and love and interbeing and understanding and trust. And so, yeah, what an incredible fulfillment. Now, the empty nest is I'm looking at the empty nest over there on my altar, but I know, because of the power of our intentions, that in some ways this is just the beginning. Oh my goodness, what an incredible, precious life we have been given. And I'm now thinking of Joanna Macy, who one of you wrote in the chat early on this call, to bring her into our circle and honor her and direct our prayers for her safe passage and fine realization of the way that she has embodied and lived and now is passing through and on from, and has been such a powerful and important teacher to me and to our whole Earth Treasure Vase global healing mandala. And she, has said so many times in these last years, maybe decade of her life, how we're so lucky to be alive now. Even though we feel the world is coming apart at the seams, that the everything is unraveling. It's the great turning, it's the great unraveling. And who knows how we're going to turn the ship around. But my God, what a opportunity we have to be alive now in the midst of all this, and for the sake of all this, we show up. We do what we've been called to do. We offer our prayers, we offer our intentions, we offer our hearts to each other and to Mother Gaia. And we trust that we may not be able to see the ripples going out, but they are going out. And we know that they're going out when we stand in a field digging a hole and look up and find an entire community surrounding us, honoring those prayers. And these things that happen, and I think when we were together, Charlotte and Elizabeth, and those of you on the call who have stewarded treasure vases, we get together and we start recounting, oh, when that happened, and oh my God, can you believe how that came together? I never could have imagined it going that way, but oh, how amazing. These synchronicities, these little connections, these threads that get woven that take us exactly where we need to go. And we know when that happens that we're, in the flow of something so much larger than ourselves. And that's the place that we need to live our lives from in order to affect the kinds of change that seem so impossible to us from up here. And all I can say is, plant those seeds, make those offerings, whatever they are, they do have an effect. And so let's now, I think it might be time, after I get down off my soapbox, to, oh dear, I forgot to move my phone. Pardon me. To now take a breath and to just let all that settle in gratitude. And gratitude not only to Plum Village and Thich and the NGOs in Geneva and to Le Marion, which is this beautiful center of Charlotte's, but also to the stewards in our circle who are holding this practice in their hearts and are holding treasure vases or have held. I'm looking at Judith Tripp and Marita. I'm looking at Elizabeth Christine and Carola Steinbauer now. I'm seeing you, Melinda Barfi. I'm honoring you, Anne Thomas, Liza Jane, Lauren Hills in Greece, Louise, Mimi. I'm just scanning. I'd love to see your faces, but I see these little words on the screen in some cases. And Valeria. Anyway, Olivia. I see you. I know you're out there, and I know because I have followed and tracked and held every single one of those Earth Treasure Vases that we call out in the meditation. And I'm so grateful to all of you who show up month after month, year after year, to build this global mandala together. So another breath. And Laura Lynn, I see you too. Thanks for coming on the screen. And now it's actually time to turn off our screens for the audio, the video and the audio, with the exception of Charlotte and myself, who will lead the meditation together. And then we'll resume our screen sharing with each other as much as we can, with our faces showing, imagining that we're actually together, warm hand to warm hand, in the circle. So important to gather like this these days. And at the end of the meditation, as I mentioned, we'll share some music from Plum Village, as a way to deepen into the meditation, and some music from Thich. And then we'll invite our Earth Vase stewards from Europe to share a few words, and then open the circle for sharing. So let's begin by taking another few deep breaths, breathing in and breathing out, deep and slow. And with each breath, feel your body relax more and more. Sensing the ground beneath you, holding you, offering stability and calm, as she does. Your roots reaching deep down into the earth, bringing that nourishment and stability. And breathing in and breathing out, drawing up through your own taproot the life force of Mother Earth, which she gives freely and generously to you. Letting any thoughts of the past and concerns for the future just melt away for now. Coming back over and over to this precious moment of communion with Mother Earth and with each other. And from this place of being deeply rooted and grounded, let's open to the light from above. Feel the warmth from the sun and the moon and the stars, the planets. And the expansiveness that is there as we connect with the vast energies of the entire cosmos. Rooted below, connected and expanded above, in this present moment, breathing. And now let's also feel our connection to the places where we sit on the planet right now. Our relationship to the soils and the stones, the waterways and the forests and flowers, all the communities of life who call these habitats their home, just like we do. And who also receive stability and nourishment from Mother Earth and the warmth of the sun and the moon, just like we do.
Now, in this present moment, in this special place, we acknowledge those who have come before, the ancestors of the original indigenous peoples of the lands we inhabit, who have been in sacred relationship with our lands for countless generations. We acknowledge the future ancestors of this land, who will continue to hold this land as sacred for countless generations to come. And we humbly invite all of them to bless us and our practice. Let's also call upon all of our sources of inspiration, our own ancestors, elders, teachers and guides, lineage masters, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and wisdom beings that we feel connected to, and invite them all to be present with us now. Invite their blessings to enter you and everyone who is present for this meditation. Receive the blessing of their love, support, guidance, healing, and clarity. Feel in particular the light shining from Joanna as she ascends. As this blessing enters you, feel this love and caring coming all the way into your deepest heart of hearts, and breathe it in. And breathing out, send this love to everyone who is present in this circle. Breathing in, receive the love that is being sent. Breathing out, sending. Breathing in, receiving. Like the ebb and flow of the tides washing blessings among us in this circle. Gradually expanding your focus to include all of your friends, family, and community, and all of those who this practice may serve. Imagine our circle gradually growing from our home, neighborhood, bioregion, country, and continent to include all beings in all places everywhere, embracing the whole planet with our love. Breathing in, breathing out with Gaia.
And now feeling this sense of connection, rooted below, expanded above, waves of love flowing from your heart. Let's turn our awareness to those who are suffering, to the places where there is war, poverty, disease, pollution, droughts or floods or fires. Wherever the need for healing is very great. And breathe in this suffering. And on the out breath, send your love and caring to relieve the suffering of the earth, of her people, and of all life all around the whole planet. Imagine that where there is hunger, great nourishing gardens begin to grow. Where there is thirst, fresh, clean waterways spring up. Where there are unhoused, safe shelters are built. Where there is war and conflict, choirs of peace echo in the hills. Where there is sickness, vital health is celebrated. And aware of where the earth is unstable, in danger, or out of balance in any way, imagine a restoration of balanced power, bringing protection and regeneration as you hear the land sing out in harmony. Now see the generosity and reciprocity in communities of life flowing freely. Seeing the beauty and riches of nature flowering into abundance for the sustenance of life, revitalizing this radiant blue-green planet we call home.
As we hold this glowing vision of Mother Earth, we call into our awareness the presence of the Earth Treasure Vases that have been planted or are in the process of being planted all around the world. Let us imagine that together we are pouring our love and caring in the form of light into each and every little clay pot buried in the body of Mother Earth, filling each vase with our deepest prayers and blessings for healing. Imagine each Earth Treasure Vase radiating light in every direction, sending healing and protective energies wherever it is needed, in whatever form it is needed. See the light like a rainbow streaming forth from each of the vases, white, yellow, red, blue, green, and all the colors in between. And breathing in and breathing out, allow the feeling of caring and compassion in your heart of hearts to grow. Send that love out in the form of light to all the people, animals, plants, and places that are connected to the Earth Treasure Vases that need healing and protection in the past, in the present, and in the future.
Beginning at the center of the Earth Treasure Vase Global Healing Mandala, in a cave above Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. And to the north at the source of the Rio Grande River in Creede, Colorado. To the south, at the mouth of the Rio Grande, at the Gulf of Mexico. To the east, on top of Mount Baldy above Santa Fe. And to the west, on Mount Chicoma, known as Tsikamu, to the Tewa people of New Mexico, who are the custodians of the sacred lands where this mandala began. And now, having established the center and the 4 directions, see the mandala growing in every direction. To the Indian Point Nuclear Reservation on the Hudson River in New York. To the Headwaters old-growth redwood forest in Northern California. The Punta Cometa on the coast of Oaxaca, Mexico. Vilcabamba, Ecuador. Jakova, Kosovo. The Lawrence Laboratory at the University of California in Berkeley. The Tao Dum Forest on the border of Thailand and Burma. The village of Ein Karam in Israel, Palestine. Hiroshima, Japan. Inwood Park above New York City after 9/11. The Biosphere 2 in Oracle, Arizona. The Martin Luther King Freedom Center in Oakland, California. The source of the Ganges in India. The source of the Amazon in Peru. The Southern Pacific Ocean, 93 feet down in Agum Atoll, the Trobriand Islands, Papua New Guinea. The Arctic Circle, Alaska. The Kogi lands of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, Colombia. Telewoyan Village, Lofa County, Voingemet District, Liberia, West Africa. The Blida River Canyon, Limpopo Province, South Africa. The Giza Plateau in Egypt. Haleakala, Maui, Hawaii. The Itombwe Forest, South Kivu Province, Democratic Republic of Congo. Avebury, England. Bindaluk, Jawan Country, Catherine, Northern Territory, Australia.
To Gabarnmang, Arnhem Land, Australia. The Mackenzie King Part, Ottawa River Valley, Ottawa, Gatineau, Canada. The original garden in Findhorn, Scotland. The Great Stupa of Bodhanath in Kathmandu, Nepal. The Flint Hills of Kansas in the heartland of America. The Santa Cruz Mountains near Silicon Valley, California. The Valles Caldera of northern New Mexico. Purnululu, Bungle Bungles, the Kimberleys, Australia. The village of Utqiagvik at the edge of the sea in northernmost Arctic Alaska. The Hanford Nuclear Reservation on shores of the Columbia River in the state of Washington. Mount Ryosen above Fukushima, Japan. Back to where it all began, at the cave hermitage of Charok, Nepal. To Margibi County, Liberia. In the base of an old iron bark tree on Ditihul Mountain, in the Budawang wilderness of Wambunja Country, Yuin Nation, southeastern Australia. And to our root temple, Tolu Tarling Monastery in Nepal. The Monzur Valley in Turkey. Serpent Mound in Ohio. The Ashaninka spiritual portal, Campadorio Amonea indigenous land, acre, Brazilian Amazon bordering Peru. The Border Peace School, Cherwan, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. In Nabusimake, Arhuaco territory in Colombia. In Akaroa Te Waipunamu, South Island, Aotearoa, New Zealand. On Mount Parnassus, above Delphi, in Greece. Pian Grande di Castelluccio of the Sibillini Mountains, Umbria, Italy. In Weyawichen, facing the Wincates Park, North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. In a sylvan wood near a creek that flows into the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. In eastern Tibet, next to a high-altitude turquoise lake, Fontem Felicem, Happy Well. flowing by a creek adjacent to a chapel in the village of Helsum, Eislich, Luxembourg, in the woods embracing Auschwitz-Birkenau, Poland, and to southwestern Australia.
And to the vase in Antarctica, the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland, the Saugatuck Dunes on Lake Michigan in the United States, the Highwood Valley in the Rocky Mountains of Alberta, Canada, southeastern United States, Turtle Island, Chaconaugay, Tennessee, a vase called Coronama, planted on the shores of Lake Washington in Kirkland, Washington, near the Life Care Center where COVID began in the United States. In the Permian Basin, New Mexico, along the Sweetwater Creek at the base of Marble Mountain in Danby, Vermont, to the vase called Cetacea in Provincetown, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, honoring the wisdom and persistence of our whale relatives. The vase dedicated to the return of the salmon buried on the north coast of the Olympic Peninsula in Washington state, and the vase recently planted in the upper hamlet of Plum Village in France. Let's also include in our awareness the vases being stewarded now to the Bering Strait, to Chile, to the Altai Mountains in Russia, to healing racism in the United States, to Bamiyan, Afghanistan, to South India, to Palestine, Spain, Taos, New Mexico, the Little Shell tribal territory of Montana, the Triple Divide Peak on Turtle Island, a vase dedicated to Kairos time, to the Paramo ecosystem of Colombia for the restoration of the waters of the world, to the Big Sur region vase, to the Andes Mountains, to Hungary, and to Ukraine. And finally, we presence the Mother Vase, who rests on the altar here in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Once again, please take a deep, slow in-breath and a deep, slow out-breath, and imagine all that is needed to relieve the suffering of the earth can be seen as light radiating out from each of the Earth Treasure Vases, all around the whole planet in every direction. Imagine this healing light flowing out from the vases, filling the whole global Earth Treasure Vase mandala with the powerful energies of our love and caring. See this healing force traveling through the song lines and meridians of the earth, flowing into each location on the global mandala. See the mandala like a web of light embracing the whole planet. Feel the light flowing back and forth like waves from your heart to the Earth Treasure Vases, energizing them and adding vitality and brilliance to the light that is then flowing out to the whole area in the sphere of influence of each of the Earth Treasure Vases. Now imagine this light flowing into your own location, your special spot in nature, and feel the collective spiritual intelligence of the entire global Earth Treasure Vase mandala activating your node on the global healing mandala and entering you as a holy vessel. Please focus your concentration one-pointedly on bringing healing and protection, peace, harmony, and justice to the whole earth for all time. See the healing and protection radiating out from all the vases around the earth in waves of light flowing back and forth endlessly. And imagine that the healing is accomplished and the vitality of the earth is completely restored.
Giờ phút linh thiêng gió lặng chim ngừng trái đất rung động bay lần khi bất diệt đi ngang dòng sinh diệt, bàn tay truyền pháp trong hương đêm tinh khiết ân các tường nở trắng một bông hoa thế giới 3000 đồng thanh ca ngợi đồng thanh ca ngợi vang phẳng Thích Ca Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Giờ phút linh thiêng đóa bất diệt nở ngài như vườn hoa sinh diệu nô giác ngộ hé thành muôn thi thiên. Ngài về đây học tiếng nói loài người. Đêm nào từ trời đâu suốt nhìn về chư thiên thấy địa cầu quê hương tôi sáng hơn vì sao sáng và tinh tú muôn phương châu về cho đến khi vừng đông tỏa rạng, cho đến khi vườn lắm tỉ ni hé thành chiếc nôi êm chào đón Phật sơ sinh. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Những đêm nào từ địa cầu quê hương tôi loài người mặc lệ rừng rưng.
And now recognizing the great interconnected web that is life on Earth, of which we are each a part. Let's give thanks for this precious sacred time and pray that the compassion and peace that is our true condition may bring supreme happiness and benefit to the earth and to all beings. And with another deep, slow in-breath and deep, slow out-breath, let's bring our awareness back into our bodies and feel our feet on the floor, grounded on the earth in our own location. And when you're ready, open your eyes and return to the circle for sharing our prayers and making our offerings and continuing to build our community.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Oh, as we start our opening our circle for all the offerings, we can open, those of us who are present can open the Earth Treasure Vases that we are stewarding. I'm holding here the vase for Ukraine and the vase for Afghanistan. The vase for Afghanistan is very, decorated. She has a beautiful necklace that was gifted to Cynthia by nomad women, the Kuchi women in Afghanistan in her trips. And both of them are safely protected by the Lakota little beads. So I will open the vase for Ukraine. There's a little bit of the lighter ones in our circle. And it is actually quite, it's a bit nervous and very, ooh, because it's its first, coming out in a full moon meditation. And so I will unclose it. And it's feeling very joyful about being part of this beautiful community, eager to find the guardians that will guide it to its resting place in Ukraine. And I wish you could smell it, full of beautiful perfumes and oils that have been gifted during our circles here. It also has a little cross from Thich inside. And the vase for Afghanistan, see this beautiful necklace. I was traveling with Cynthia many years ago. Yes, and so the beautiful beads. And the Afghan vase is actually very humbled that it found its way in here and, was able to host all these other beautiful vases. It felt in such precious company on the altar. And incidentally, our altar was facing in the direction of Thich. So it's so happy to feel the group energy.
Just to
And it's
say that you, Charlotte, lived in Afghanistan and worked there for 10 years and have a co-steward who I met who unfortunately could not join us today, Fatima, who now lives in France with her family and will be assisting with the vase for Afghanistan.
our intention is for it to go to Bamyan, which is a Buddhist center originally, and Fatima is from that area. So if other stewards wish to join me in opening the vase, like Corolla, who's stewarding the vase for Hungary, and maybe you want to say a few words?
Carola from Germany, who was at the retreat, who made a connection to this vase, and then we have also with us Melinda, who is from Hungary and who will receive the vase from Carola. So Carola, please bring the vase forward and introduce that little being to all of us, please. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful being the bridge between you and Melinda. And here's this wonderful vase for Hungary. And seeing the pictures and hearing the stories, I feel the blessing of this time in France, in Le Marion. And it was this evening in TC with Martin. We both hold the vase for Hungary. And yeah. So it turned out that I can be the bridge to Melinda, who is also on the call, who I will meet maybe in August, and bring this wonderful holy vessel to her. And yeah, during the meditation, I had a picture in me of the earth being a holy vessel. And all these earth treasure vases being our blessings into her. And yeah, it was so beautiful and so true. And also in the Marion, to sit with the whole world on this special place. With Charlotte Stock also supporting us, and with your dog Cynthia also supporting us from above, and with my dog accompanying me on this journey. And yeah, it was such a wonderful time to have the opportunity to be there, to be with you all together. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Yeah. It was beautiful to witness the way that you and Martin especially took the process of shepherding that treasure vase for Hungary so deeply. And then you drove it from France to Germany in the seat beside you, where you've now been having the chance to live with it and practice with it and take it on little pilgrimages here and there. And in August, I believe you and Melinda will meet in person to pass it to her.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping in September some other members of the Gaia Mandala community, like this Martin and possibly Valeria, who might be still on this call, could join up with you to further activate the vase, warm hand to warm hand, which feels so important now. But Melinda, I want to welcome you to the circle and thank you so much for stepping forward to offer to steward a vase for Hungary. And if there's anything you'd like to say about what that means for you, I think we'd all love to hear it. Welcome.
Thank you, Cynthia. And thank you all. Thank you all for also Carola and for being a good custodian of this vase as it's finding its way from Santa Fe towards Hungary. And it will take a little time. Also, we talked with Cynthia for really finding the best place to be. But I find it's a very interesting time also for Hungary now to come for the vase. We are 3/4 of a year before the next elections, and we have almost 15 years of this governance being on this country, which has unfortunately brought a lot of despair and sorrow and just super a lot of challenges in this country. And as I'm talking with other people, also it's a model that is being looked by other and not necessarily very democratic leaders as something to learn from. So I find that this next less than 1 year is a pivotal time for a change to come. And last week's Pride has been already such a change where almost 200,000 people have come together in the streets celebrating diversity, even though the government has banned that celebration. And I'm just very curious, and not even curious. I think I'm just really open for the emergence that is happening in this microcosm, and then how is this affecting the global macrocosm and the cosmic world as well. So feeling very humbled to be the steward for the Hungarian vase later, and not taking this as a light responsibility. Thank you so much for keeping this practice and inviting me also to join this circle. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for hearing the call and answering it, and now applying all of your skills and training and practice and intention, which is very meaningful to this, to fulfill the purpose of this vase. So we're with you. We are with you. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think I'll just share briefly about Palestine while I have the mic, so to speak. And I'm sorry if my volume is low. I will look into that. But I hope you can hear me. And our steward from Ireland, who lives in London, Aoife Franklin, and her mother Sarah are co-stewarding the vase for Palestine after receiving that practice from Rick and Charlotte in Plum Village a year or so ago. And there has been some incredible movements around this vase, which if you got the newsletter, you would have read Aoife's story. So yeah, there's a lot happening with that vase, as of course there needs to be. And I'm so grateful that we have a vase going there. And in November, late October, early November, the group from Palestine called Pal Music is coming to the UK. And Sarah Franklin is the executive director of that organization. And the Treasure Vase will travel them to concerts and appearances, including with the Irish Parliament and all sorts of wonderful occasions. And I'll also be there at the end for their performance in London and an Earth Treasure Vase ceremony that we hope to put together to pass the vase to them. And these are mostly young people who are, using music to invite peace in the world and in Palestine. Much, much more we could say about all of that, and look forward to sharing more about how that vase is unraveling and unfolding, not unraveling, but unfolding. And invite your prayers and your, to know that this vase, the vase for Hungary, the vase for Ukraine, these are all in process, Afghanistan, and to really feed them with your intentions. These are not political tools. These are vessels of healing in all the ways that healing is called for in those lands. So I want to give a big thank you to Aoife and to Sarah, and to all of those who are coming together around that treasure vase at this time. And so, I think for now, we might like to invite Anne to come forward. Anne, as I mentioned, had this special vase, and you saw the picture. And you have been such a gift to us, Anne, to the mandala, to me, to, how the practice is going out in ways we can't imagine. And then here you are arriving in our midst. So welcome, and please share just a little bit about what you see and what you feel and what you know about your own treasure vase.
Okay. Hi. So introducing this little vase, which is introducing her to you for the first time, really, to the group, the wider group. And as Cynthia's already told you, the vase came with me. I live in Wales in the UK. And the vase came with me to Les Marions for the beautiful, beautiful retreat that we shared there. And I think, Charlotte, you just said something about the vase that you were that's going to Ukraine being a little bit kind of like, oh, it's her first time out, I feel a bit like that with this. It's like, it's not her first time out, but it's like I'm still feeling the ripples of what an incredible experience it was for me being there with you all, and to experience the sense that this clay vessel, which when I set off from home was a vessel that I'd made with my hands from clay on the beach where I live. Clay that used to be part of a river at there before, so 10,000 years ago. And there used to be forest there, which has receded. And so there's a kind of story, and it's something about the connection with the clay itself, for me, is really important. And so when I made it with my hands, I fired it in my kiln, and it was empty when I brought it to France. And we sat in ceremony there, and it was incredibly powerful to be with all of those vases, the 7 vases. And there you can see on that picture that this little vase is was given such a beautiful welcome, being brought into the altar and sitting there in the center, surrounded by the other treasure vases. I actually still feel quite overwhelmed by that, that beautiful welcome. And in the process of the ceremonies that we shared and participated in together over those days, there lots of things have been placed, lots of offerings came into this vase, and so that by the time I left, in fact, by the time we went on the little trip to Theze, it felt completely different. The vase felt as if it had been activated. It had become a thing in its own right, no longer me. So since then, I've been really sitting with what is the purpose, what is the prayer for this vase, which seems to be evolving, but essentially feels very much aligned with a prayer for restoration of value and respect for the divine sacred feminine energy, which of course all of this working with Mother Gaia is, that's what we're aligning with. But I don't really, so it feels, I'm trusting that I will receive the guidance in due course as to what that actually means in terms of this vase's journey. I'm realizing that everything I've been doing, I had a moment when I was in France, and that's still with me and keeps welling up as a sense of really heartfelt feeling. That everything that I've been doing up to now has been preparing me as a vessel for holding this holy vessel. And the work in my artwork is, everything's dedicated to Mother Life, to Mother Gaia, and the mandalas I create, and the clay shrines that I make, and other things that I'm a mother of 4 kids and grandchildren, and I don't know, just by everything is anyway, I'm waffling a little bit. But I just want to say thank you so much for welcoming me, and for being there, for this being here, this community and this practice. So incredible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. Yeah. I'll be sharing more, we will, from the Gaia Mandala of your work, which is so beautiful and paints these gorgeous mandala cards and artwork and these beautiful clay shrines of Mother Gaia holding a little vessel. I couldn't believe they're like for candles, right? Candle holders. And there she is, and she's holding a little vessel. You're going to just love seeing Anne's work, and it just feels like such a beautiful, not only have you prepared for this new task, but we have as a community. And, before I went to France, I was preparing all my offerings for the vases that we would be working with to bring with me. And I found the clay that the vases that were made of, the one I took to Plum Village, and that whole generation was made from clay from New Mexico that Marion Naranjo had blessed, and that we had worked into this generation. And I have some of that clay, and then I went to Plum Village and we buried the vase there. And when we were digging the hole, the ground had a lot of clay in it. And I saved some of that clay, and I'm realizing, wow, this is how more pots can be crafted with the clay from these places, right? So any of you who happen to come across clay, who knows? But we won't go there quite yet because we still have a number of vases in process, still carrying the thread of these ones we've been invoking. And as my teacher Gyatra Rinpoche said, slowly, slowly, step by step, we shall arrive. So let's take another breath now and open the circle for sharing from all of you. Let's see what is bubbling up out of our practice, out of our stories, out of our hearts, that will feed the spirit of what we want to see in the world. Yeah. And Charlotte, you and I can maybe call on people together, starting with you, Heidi. Welcome.
First, I just want to thank everybody that was part of the last 2 full moons, and what has come through is absolutely beautiful, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And I want to offer this magnetized water, and I recognize that there was water that was in all of the photos, and when I was really listening to the places where the pots were planted, it was very clear that water is a very deep theme that is present. And that theme has been coming into my life in my own way. But this is what came through. And I'll just read it. Magnetized water, representing the beauty of her shimmering body, flowing in space, smiling through the veils of her starry night, showing her bioluminous forms to those who see through the hearts of all beings, bowing to this magnificence.
So much, Heidi.
And the tears are made out of salt water, and salt water dissolves all that is in the way of her flowing veils. The pure water is the bioluminescence of her very heart and soul, which is the greatest treasure.
Anyone who is holding a vase in the circle, please allow that to pour into your vase. Nourish all the other prayers that are contained, offerings that are contained in the vase that you hold. And all the rest of us, let that pour into our hearts and fertilize those seeds of awakening within each of us. Thank you, Heidi. We'd love to hear from as many of you who would like to share while we're together. If you know how to raise your hand, you can do that.
Andrea is raising her hand.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you. For some reason, my screen doesn't have the raise hand on there. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great.
Welcome.
I'm coming to you live from the Dovey Valley in Wales, where I met Anne months ago at one of her singing workshops, and mentioned just as part of conversation this great inspiring book that I was reading about the treasure vases, to which she filled with vigor and said, I'm thinking of going this summer and I have this vase, and just gushing with enthusiasm. So I just find that synchronicity quite interesting. And I've gotten so much from coming to these full moon vase meetings, just to feel so much beautiful intention flowing into a field. So I'm quite an intuitive person. So when I feel into the strength of this field, then you start to understand what Elizabeth was talking about another earth, another home being forged and also there waiting. So that's the prayer that I'd like to offer into the vases. A little bit about how do we get from here to there? And it's prayers for sitting with uncertainty, opening to mystery, loving when it's difficult to love, moving into conflict, resolution with curiosity, with openness, seeing the other as friend, as neighbor, as sister, as brother. Honoring the trauma in the people that are around us, our siblings, our friends, and people we don't know, and somehow tilting the gaze so that you can see them in the other world. You can feel their essence, you can feel their goodness, you can feel their beauty. And in feeling that, you help make a bridge to get us there. So I want to offer love from my heart, and love from the ancestors, and love from those wider, larger forces that are holding us. The Virgin Mary, the archangels, so many of the beyond, and nature spirits. And I'd also like to thank and welcome the prayers and help of the animals on this planet and all of their spirits into that vase. Thank you for being here and doing this work, and thank you to everyone who's part of the community that shows up in your unique and beautiful ways. I'm really grateful.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I'm really grateful to you for showing up and sharing those words with us today. It really means a lot and feels really good. Oh.
And Cynthia, thank you so much. And as you were speaking, Andrea, and you said about how do we go from here to there, it dawned on me that maybe this other world is already here. And so it's how do we go from here to here? And that the vases are the threshold between this other world of peace that is there when we know to look beyond the layers. And so how we grow that light that is there. Thank you for that image.
Mimi.
Hi. So happy to be here. Thank you for the beautiful sharings and the beautiful music and the singing. Oh, it's just beautiful. I'm holding the Chilean vase here. So happy, very joyful to be in the circle and share the energy and receive the energy. I think continuing from what Andrea just said and Charlotte, what has been part of this journey for me has been a complete surrender of the energy of this vessel, of this treasure vase, and to realize that I'm it as much as this is it. It's like a working together. And So this is going to Chile in unimaginable, unexpected ways. After living in the States for 36 years, we have relocated to Peru. And so it's 2.5 weeks that we're just here with my husband. Never expected it, never thought about it. And last year, when I thought this is the year when I'm gonna bury this, I thought, well, how is it gonna happen? Because every time I said I'm gonna bury you, it would say, well, you need to take me to the north. You need to, and I'm like, logistically, financially, how am I gonna do this? And now I'm placed 3 hours from Chile, where I can go so many more times. And I was like, wow, wow. And not only that, but like Peru, I experience, and I am just arriving, such a spiritual activation here. And I know that Rick is stewarding the Peru vase. At some point we will meet, and but it just feels like there is so much happening, and to me is the trusting of it's not me directing it, it's me sort of like listening and being guided and allow that. And when nothing is happening, maybe it's happening. It's just maybe not in the form in which one expected to happen. So I'm offering that. And behind that is always the energy for me here is the universal love, which is the antidote to anything that is out of balance. And so carrying that forward in our lives and in our relationships, in our way of living, and blessings to everybody. And thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. Wow. How amazing that you are now living there. And we get to support you in rooting and traveling where the vase will take you on behalf of the whole earth and on behalf of Chile, your homeland. So it's wonderful to see you. Very, very good to see you today. Many blessings to you there.
And we have a lady who is showing a beautiful yin yang gong.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm zooming in from Chicago with my Tai Chi symbol gong, and I'll do my best to let the vibrations travel through the cyberspace if it works. If not, trust that they are happening and vibrating out to the vases, to the Gaia mandala, to all of us here as the Gaia mandala. And I always come back to this symbol because it reminds me of the divine balance between darkness and light, and the interplay, the interbeing of darkness and light, and that we as stewards of light also need, and I think very much have, the strength to recognize and negotiate the dark in healthy ways. So I offer these vibrations and hope they reach you in the most pleasant way possible.
Thank you so much. I'll speak for myself just to say that I heard the sound in the ethers somewhere, but not in the actual audio. And so we'll have to revisit this offering next time with a little sound preparation. It sounds like some of us may need a little sound preparation, but thank you very, very much for that offering. It's really very, very sweet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just want to acknowledge that there are a number of you here today that I don't know that I've met before, and it's wonderful to see you here. I welcome you. We all welcome you to this circle. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming. Thank you for finding us. And also to the people in the circle in a man's body. You're such a rare breed in our midst. And we welcome you too. We, the circle is open. And if there's anything any of you able-bodied men or women or newcomers or those who don't fall into the traditional categories would like to share, it would be wonderful to hear from you. Just opening it up for that possibility before we close the call. Anyone whose voice we haven't heard yet. It's probably time for just a couple more sharings. Laurel Lynn, I see you raising your hand. Please come forward.
Oh, thank you for this beautiful opportunity on this beautiful full moon in this circle where I can speak on behalf of my taking care of the northern New Mexico Taos vase and the little shell vase. Just, I want to offer into all the vases a happiness of community that encourages the expansion of our vision and the clarity of truly feeling certain that all of our visions together are swirling around and are going to be pulled into beautiful ways in this dimension in more and more ways than we could ever have imagined. It just always have times to gather with people here and everywhere we can to help encourage that vision so that we can see it unfolding, starting from the seeds with the vases that we've planted upwards. Ho matakwasi inui makanag.
May it be so. May it be so. Thank you, dear Laurelyn. It's wonderful to see you today, and thank you for holding those two vases in your heart as they find their way. And I see you, Keegan. Please, welcome.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Blessings. Thank you so much. This is very interesting. It's my first time to join. Very beautiful. You've been doing this for so long. That's so amazing. And I love the visiting in awareness of all the different places across the earth. It was super magical to on that little journey of visioning and presence. And I want to extend invitation. I'm in the middle of hosting my first online summit right now. It's called the Aquarian Renaissance Indigenous Revival. And so it's a 5-day free summit, and we're on the 3rd day. So I just wanted to mention, and I'll leave the link in the comments if anybody wants to check it out. Thank you for this.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
That sounds great. Thanks for sharing the link with us. And just while we have you here, how did you hear about the Gaia Mandala and this practice? What brought you?
Well, email lists, so this or that person's email list. I forget now. I'm on so many.
I'm always curious what the connection is, how it happened, and where do you call in from?
I'm in Montenegro.
Montenegro. All right.
Yeah. So it's just south of Croatia, in case no one knows. It's it's a country that's younger than I am. It's 2006. It got independence from Serbia. So
Well, welcome. It's great to have you here, and I hope you'll come back and stick around and join the, you know, unfolding of the new operating system that we're all working on here with these little prayer vessels and um, pilgrimages.
thank you. It's beautiful. It's an honor to be here. Many blessings.
Many blessings. Charlotte, my dear, do you have any further reflections or directions for us before we close the call?
I mean, I'm just feeling the peace of the land around me. And we were reflecting yesterday with some wonderful friends from the Listening to the Land movement in the UK. This wonderful woman, Francesca Price, who runs the Oxford Real Farming Conference, about the links between climate change and our inner climate. And we were talking about all the droughts in our regions, and I was sharing how it's difficult to not worry. But we were saying how it's so important that we embody an inner climate of peace in ourselves, and that can radiate out a climate of peace and harmony around us. And we were wondering how to do that. And I'm just very aware that this gathering is all about that. And yeah, embracing the darkness to reach the light within and beyond, and going from here to here in another dimension. So feeling very grateful. And I'm feeling also, yeah, in awe that Joanna Macy is passing.
Yeah.
Feeling her fullness in the full moon. And knowing that she's going to keep on shining so much light and supporting all of us in the great work. So yeah, I think she will be deploying even more power from that field. So it's a gift to have felt her so present today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlotte. It's wonderful to have you here with us in the way that you're showing up, with now 2 very powerful treasure vases, your beautiful retreat center, the hosting that you gave to me and to us on your land. And yeah, I'm just really delighted and grateful and looking forward to more, and weaving the connections in all the ways that are called for, including to Wales and the UK and who knows where next. But yes, Joanna Macy has been one of my very deep core teachers for many years, since the 1980s. And I'm feeling her very strongly every day, too. It's a little hard for me to let her go, I have to say. She's been such a anchor and such a fierce force. She helped me write every word of that book, you all. She encouraged me. She said, "You're really going to write that?" I said, "Yeah, I'm really going to write that." She goes, "Good." And then she read it cover to cover. She's been with me. She buried a treasure vase. If you didn't know, the vase that was buried in Berkeley, California, where she lives, at the Lawrence Laboratory, which of course Joanna was one of the ones, maybe the one, who woke me up to the notion of nuclear guardianship back in the 80s and early 90s, living across from the Los Alamos National Laboratory and what that means. And that was such a big part of my motivation in reaching out to the old Lama in the cave. What can we do? And Joanna was part of that. And she's the one who planted that vase at the Lawrence Lab. So maybe I'll put some of my tears into this vase that I'm holding in my lap, that I call the mother vessel. I just reached into it. I was reaching into it while I was speaking, and I pulled out this beautiful little ring of a turtle that somebody put in there. I don't know if you can see that. And of course, it reminds me of Turtle Island, which is what we call the United States, Northern America. And yeah, so may all of our prayers radiate out in every direction. May they go where they're needed. Not only to Turtle Island, but to all the continents, all the places where healing is called for, beyond space and time. May the vase at Gabernmang, which is a 50,000-year-old rock shelter in the remotest part of Northern Territory, Australia, where we buried a treasure vase. And if there could be a treasure vase there, there can be the awareness that anything is possible. And these prayers can go throughout time, beyond our concept of time. Which is the place we can access when we enter sacred time and direct our prayers through the song lines of this beautiful blue-green planet we call home. Yeah, from our hearts. So for as long as Earth remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may these Earth Treasure Vases too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And through the merits of this practice, may all beings realize their inseparability with Gaia and all life upon her, living in peace and harmony. May there be no more war or conflict, and may all hearts be filled with compassion. Alalaho.